Hi, and welcome to the Reckon APS Practice Management Interim Fees course. In this course, we'll look at the terminology. What do we mean by interim fees in Reckon APS Practice Management? We'll look at the step-by-step guide to create the interims and the final fee allocation of those interims. And we'll look at how interim and final fees are reported in both Practice Management and Practice IQ. Okay, so let's get some clarity on terminology. An interim fee created in the Reckon APS Practice Management System is initially created when the time transactions are minimal or zero against a matter, but you expect to put time against it in the future, at which point you will allocate the interim in a future period. That shouldn't be confused with what Reckon might call a progress fee, which is simply a standard transaction fee allocated during the job's progression, may be referred internally by your practice as an interim fee or interim bill. In this instance, you may have all the time already posted to WIP to create a standard fee. So if you're asked to create an interim fee, just be clear on what the term is that they're referring to as an interim fee before you go and prepare it. Finally, a straight profit fee is a fee that will never have time transactions recorded against it. For reporting purposes, you need to record the transaction down to the matter level for consistent reporting across the firm. This might be where your firm doesn't use timesheets at all, or a particular division in your firm might be financial planning or wealth. They don't do time, but we need to record the fees from the WIP so that we have WIP standard matter reporting, we have the matter details, matter partner, matter manager, and anything to do with the associated matters available in the reporting. So let's go first and have a look at how to prepare the interim fee. I've gone straight to my fee batch console and I'm going to go and create a new debtor. Go and get a new debtor. Just check that you have the option to include matters with zero WIP turned on and your other standard options, and then go back and review your general tab. In this instance, we're just going to do an interim fee for the 2016 government contract, so it doesn't have any WIP at the moment. Go to your WIP page, which will be in your custom view. And the next thing you want to do is be in edit mode, or ensure that you're in edit mode, and turn on your interim summary. If you don't have access to this, you'll need to see your system administrator. This will include a new column which allows you to enter your interim amount. Go down and build the narration the rest of the way on how you want to create that fee. So you would complete this fee as normal. The next component we'll look at was a straight profit fee. A straight profit fee, you complete your interim as normal here, but you would double click on your unallocated write-off because you don't want to have a resulting WIP of credit of $10,000. We're never going to absorb that or allocate that in the future. The rest of the fee from this point is the same. Let's now look at how we allocate interim fees to time once the time has been posted. Let me add a matter to this example. Check your options, make sure they're consistent. We still have our straight profit fee, but I now have the second matter, the 2017 government contract. In the interims to allocate column, we already have $164,000. To do an absorption, you simply click on the ellipse key and you'll see that it will include the two interims already done. Because my time is very close to the amount of the interims, I'm going to balance this to zero. At this point in time, the allocation has moved the interim summary as a credit to get it out of the interim, and it's allocated it now to the fees. The net effect of that is there's no change to the actual invoice. It's still only $10,000 for our interim. It has automatically done the write-off, and it will do the write-off on the basis pro rata. This screen can be altered. However, if you make a mistake, please go back and restart your fee. Let's restart the fee again. Okay, this time on our 27 government fee, I'm going to allocate the interims, but the balance to zero I will leave unchecked. This will result in a WIP balance. In this case, it's still in credit. I could further add to this fee. Perhaps the contract in total was $170,000, so we've got an opportunity to bill another $6,000 here. So not only do I want to absorb the $164,000, I'm actually going to bill another $6,000. So I can either just add that figure here and make that $6,000, come down and that makes sure that your fee balances. You can also make decisions on what you want to do with that resulting WIP. If I balance to zero, it put it in the write-off column. If I choose to put it in the unallocated write-off, I can do so by double-clicking. And finally, look at my allocation details to see how it's been allocated. That completes how to create your interim allocations. Finally, let's take a look at reporting and the impact of interims. Practice management will have your standard reports, your WIP audit, period audit, and they'll have the billed interims in the period, unallocated interims in the movement report, and they'll all reconcile back to your audit report. Practice IQ itself will also have the values and total fees, fees disbursements, fees interim, and fees time. We're often asked WIP days calculations in Practice IQ. They will be affected because essentially an interim fees is a credit to the WIP balance. So the closing WIP will be in credit divided by the average input over the last 3 months. Practice IQ 10 has a standard flag called interim fees, and it's a yes or no flag. In this case, you probably want your day's WIP calculation only calculated where the interim fee is set to no. In this example, 63.63 days is what I would expect to have for WIP days. For the fees that are in an interim cycle, it's probably irrelevant what the WIP days are, because the calculation doesn't make sense for that instance. You're probably more interested to see if you have a profit or loss situation in those interim fees. This is where workflow could come in handy by putting in your total fee budget in your matter budgets area. Staff build focus shift. There will be a time delay of when an interim fee is posted and the interim is allocated to the posted time transactions. Therefore, if the practice uses staff build as a monthly measure of performance, this will need to be reviewed. A staff member has worked 100% on interim fee clients will have a $0 staff build contribution for the period, as they've not been allocated. Shift the focus of performance measures for staff, look at on time and on budgets for allocated tasks or workflow in APS, and managers, number of interims, increase the number over a certain period to increase the interim fees. Why would you want to increase the interim fees? Well, interim fees can create an improvement in the cash flow for the practice and both the client. Interim fees are usually agreed with clients, so it also increases fee certainty. And you also have the potential reduction in the monthly fee preparation time. Time would move to an upfront contract/engagement process. Finally, if you're doing lots of interim fees, or you're finding you're doing more and more of them, the practice may want to look at how to use value billing. Interim fees are part of value billing process, but they are more complex. They create contracts across multiple matters. They allow a flexible billing schedule based on milestones or periods. And the cash flow forecast reports are included in the value billing module. Finally, what are our learning outcomes today? Well, we know now what an interim fee is. Interim fees can only be allocated to timed transactions, not disbursements. A mix of fee types can be created on one invoice. Straight profit, interim and standards across many matters. You might need to review your WIP days calculation in Practice IQ. Staff performance measures may need to be reviewed also in the focus of build time versus looking at workflow performance. And value billing might be something that you would need to review if your mix of fee volume is changing. From the Reckon Training Academy, thank you for your time. If you have further questions, please contact us.